fam, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is an addition to the Big Four series, which I started without realizing because actually the last couple of videos have been focused on my experience working at a Big Four. If you're new here, make sure to check out my career playlist. I'll make sure I plug it somewhere, at least even in the description box, so make sure to check it out so you get to know about what I've been up to for the last 7 years. Can't believe I'm saying I have worked for 7 years. I was actually speaking to students today who took part in the Career Insight series. So my firm does run Insight Days where you get to come and learn about what it takes to work at a Big Four. And I was just seeing them in their seats and I felt like I was one of them. But I've actually been working for 7 years, so I guess I'm not. But yeah, either way, I'll cut to the chase. Today's video, I'll be focusing on challenges I have experienced working at a Big Four. I'll caveat that this is my experience as a tech consultant. So I'm a tech strategy and transformation consultant. Trust me, the team that I work for is named differently, but that's the high level what we do. So another thing you'll realize when you work at a Big Four, the name of your team and function and department changes every few years, if not every year. Anyway, some of the challenges I have experienced, one of them is defining my lane. So what I mean by this is the brand or rather perception that I want to create within the firm, and within my team. And it's not just the high level brand, I mean, not high level, but not my personal brand of maybe I want to be known as a doer or as a very reliable. I'm not meaning personal brand. I'm meaning defining your path or your lane within the team in terms of what are you going to do, or rather what path are you going to take to help build your personal brand, or to help you achieve your career goals. So I'll break it down. At Big Four, they usually take the top-notch individuals, the most enthusiastic, competitive individuals out there. And as a result, it's usually a rat race once you join the firm. So everyone is looking for anything and everything additional to day-to-day work that they can do to stand out. And what the result of this is, when it comes to performance appraisals, just doing your work is not enough. Now, what people do in addition to work, we call them co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities when we were in school. So these extracurricular activities that people pick up can be grouped into 3 buckets. It can be grouped into firm's revenue. So this tends to be business development activities. So it's things like taking part in bids, winning business for the firm. Of course, if you excel at this, your career is set. The second bucket is usually in how the firm invests in its people. So it could be things like making the workplace better for everyone. So it's usually things D&I agenda, DEI agenda. So it could be setting up diversity networks or taking part in diversity networks, Black Action Plan, women in tech type of stuff, socials. It could even be as simple as just how do we increase the morale of people in the team? So you could be the one who plans the socials, you're the go-to person for building communities and engaging everybody. And then the third bucket is the firm's assets. So these are the competencies, capabilities, material that helps the firm build these competencies and capabilities. So this could be thought leadership stuff. It could be not even forward thinking, it could be backward knowledge management, basically. So people have gotten involved in projects. You're the one who does the cleanup exercise of have we documented everything? Is everything curated and therefore can be used on future projects? How can you make life easier for everyone? So those 3 buckets, if you do pick a lane and become the go-to person for it, it really, really helps boost how you're perceived, your reputation, and most likely your visibility, which really helps with your career goals. So normally when you join a firm, unless you've really grown in the firm, which when we say grown in the firm, it means you joined as a grad and you've been there for years. Basically, you've built your career there, so you've had the benefit of time. When I joined as an experienced hire in my current firm, I realized a lot of the lanes I'd already picked up in my previous job here they already had people, they already had go-to people, and I was really struggling with, so what do I do that doesn't feel forced, that's within what I'm passionate about, and also meets the criteria of what's considered valuable, right? So it was a struggle, and I think, how can I put it? I ended up just looking for gaps. So I'd say a tip that I used or realized that, looking back, I'm like, yeah, that's actually a tip that can help someone. Look for, what do you hate? Not hate, or what do you hate? Number one, that's an indicator you can look for. What do you think can be done better? Um, what do you want the employer to do for you? So those three questions are very related, but simply put, what is it that you can be the solution for? So what you hate could be, I personally hated having to travel to London every time for anything social related. I'm Birmingham based. Like, yo, like, why isn't anything happening here in Birmingham? Now I can sit down and complain about it and wait for the next town hall to put my hand up and be like, you guys have forgotten Birmingham. Or I could do something about it, and I did something about it. Second, what was the second one that I'd said? Gaps. The first one can be considered a gap, right? That's the reason why you're hating it. But sometimes it could even be just something you've noticed. Wait, no one has thought about this. Wait, the women, I don't know the women in my team. So how about I go ahead and, request for a budget for the women to get together and hang out and put a business case together. A lot of these things, you just need to put a business case. The firm is usually 9 times out of 10 eager for you to own one of their many problems and address it. So I'd say that's how I've worked around that. But to be honest, yes, it's a rat race, and you do need to find the lane that works for you. Now, what I have become guilty of is picking up too many lanes. And genuinely, for you to thrive, you need to just pick one or two, like reduce your lanes and be good at the ones you've owned. Take ownership of the lane you've picked up and be the go-to person. Be so good at it that everyone knows, yeah, Belinda is the one for that, So for me, definitely my goal for the rest of the year is to refine my lanes and cut down and pick the most valuable ones. Be very strategic with the ones I pick, because all this is side of desk things. Yeah. All right. Second point I wanted to focus on, understanding the bigger picture. This was another challenge that I experienced, and I continue to experience to some extent. So the big four firms are very complex, guys. Like, it takes months, if not years, to just understand the other teams, where your team sits with in the bigger picture. What is it you're trying to achieve? And it's mainly because, especially if you're in the client facing side, I know consulting is quite complicated, definitely. You need to just understand what your team delivers, and it can be looked at in different lenses. So it can be looked at understanding the firm. Now, when you do join, especially when you're quite junior, you're like, but do I really need to understand the firm? The truth is, the earlier you do, the better, especially if you want to start networking with these senior folks. You need to seem like you know more than just your job, or the role you are on your project. You look like you have potential to contribute towards the firm's strategy and where it's headed. And you can only know where the firm is headed if you actually understand what they're doing now. So this is a growth area for me, definitely. I am trying, but like, guys, even just navigating the intranet is something else. So if someone could just create a cheat sheet for how to navigate the intranet, that would be a big something. You can, you remember my first point, define your lane. Yeah. So also, this understanding the bigger picture is something that also you face on your project. So sometimes, especially when you're joining as a junior person, you're very keen to get started, show that you know what you're doing, and you probably get held up by the day-to-day fires. Now, for you to be really good at your job, it's not just by completing the task you've been given. You also need to understand how the task you've been given affects the bigger picture. And honestly, this is super important. Now, this one, I must say, I have become much better at it, especially I think just by default, because as you start picking up more and more responsibility, you have no option but to know how things link together, and you need to understand risk. So you need to have this holistic picture in your head. What I'm doing plugs into what this person is doing, what Jennifer, Alex, and we're working towards A. Whatever, you need to know the destination that you're working towards, because what you'll realize is when you set out to do something and then you're caught with a stray bullet, you need to realize, where did that stray bullet come from? Has it hurt anything along the way? But that's what makes you a much better consultant. I'll speak for consultants, but I know this affects any role you're in. You need to have that, be able to think outside the box. And for you to think outside the box, you need to know where the box is. What is the shape of the box? What is inside the box? And I know we're usually short on time. So even if it means investing an additional hour in the morning, logging in 1 hour in the morning just to read the statement of work, understand what we're trying to achieve, go through the client's SharePoint and documents and last year's documents or things like that, please even read the roadmap, see what it is that's coming after this. That information may not seem relevant right away, but you'll be very surprised how quickly it comes into play when you're deciding, when in your day to day, when you don't know what you don't know. When you know it, you can't unknow it. So, yeah, that's my second point. Third point, something I found challenging is prioritizing my development. Now, this one, I don't know if it's specific to my personality or it's just also a challenge you can also expect. So, what I've found myself doing is really prioritizing. I think it's something that happens a lot with us colored folks. We really want to overprove that we're really good. For some reason, we're looking for this external validation that, well done, good job, and even if this means working extra hours, even if this means foregoing a training opportunity that you had signed up for months ago and it's finally come around, but you're like, oh my gosh, how will I be away for the next 3 days? Work is going to be in shambles, or you find yourself working during annual leave. Guys, a lesson I have learned, and I have to keep reminding myself, is that if you left this company or if you left this world, um, you will be forgotten quicker than you think. So you need to prioritize yourself. You need to treat your job as your business. So what I mean by this is, what can you get out of this? Would you be running a business if you are always going at a loss? No. So you need to look at what benefits do I want to get out of this role, and make sure you achieve them. Not just what does this business want of me, because a business will always suck you of resources. It will always ask for money, but you're the one who needs to determine how much is okay. And beyond that limit, you're like, no, I'm not. And by this, if I were to stop with the symbolism, your work usually asks for your time, and you need to give only as much time as honestly is sufficient for you and your development plan. Now, in your development plan, it could be in the 40 hours a week that you work, you will only 40 hours available, right? Because we're not trying to eat into your personal time, though most of the time you will find that it will be more than 40 hours. Check out my previous video, I talk about this in more detail. Anyway, in 40 hours available in a week, you can be like, I'm going to always dedicate 1 hour towards personal development. Now, every week you can always find an excuse as to why that hour is not available. You'll find in a year you have lost 52 hours, which are maybe equivalent to you gaining 3 certifications, or you learning how to manage your time better. Because remember, training is not just certifications, it's simple skills like even how to communicate better, how to manage your time better. A lot of these employers will have such soft skill courses, and they make you function better as an employee, and therefore would have offset a lot of challenges that you ended up encountering during the year. So, guys, I am learning to prioritize my development when I block out. Thanks to also these quarterly performance things that I'm in, I'll have usually signed up. Maybe I want to achieve this, this, and that, and I have to take that off. And that sometimes means blocking, knowing when that course is coming up, blocking it out, and regardless of whether there is fire, whether there is hail, whether there are locusts, whatever pandemic is happening, I will do that training. And sometimes that's what it takes. People usually also will respect. When you respect your own time, people will start respecting your time. But yeah, there is the waffle for today. I know I've gone in, but I'm super passionate about such things. I think this also feels therapeutic to me. I remind myself some of the things that I'm learning, gone through, and also big up myself sometimes. I'm like, yeah, you actually figured that one out. So yeah, let me know what more you'd like to hear about. And yeah, see you on the next one. Bye.